Hi and welcome. Today I have a very fun Christmas piece. It's actually two pieces. It's a little envelope and a tag slides in. So I start with the envelope piece from the file cards of Tim Holtz, and I covered the front with old book paper, and then just put a slit down where the curve was, and I folded the corners back. Kind of makes it look kind of like a shirt that you might put a tie underneath. And then I just do a little bit of distress ink with vintage photo. And so I'm taking a stencil from Tim Holtz, and I'm just gonna put some ink on the front of the card, and I'm gonna use peeled paint oxide ink. Since this is a Christmas piece, it's a nice green that will look a little Christmassy. And then I've selected a few things that I want to go on the front. I have lots of other things that I have just sitting here waiting to see how it goes, but I'm taking this piece. It's from the Collage Strips Christmas 2024 from Tim Holtz, and I'm just roughing up the edges and then giving them a quick distressing with vintage photo. And then I'm going to give it a title of Glad Tidings, and also a piece from the number strips from Tim Holtz. And I fold it a couple times to give it a wrinkle and put some vintage photo on the crease, and that just helps to make it look a little more aged. And I found this guy. He looks like a business guy, and I'm calling him Mr. Johnson because it's Johnson's whatever it is. So this is Mr. Johnson. And I've given him a coat of collage medium, and I'm going to let that dry, but I'm going to be putting some distress crayon over top of him. And while he's drying, I'm going to secure my pieces to the front. I'm also going to add, I have this green sparkly paper, and I cut some holly leaves on my Cricut. So I'm going to use a couple of those, and then I'm also going to use a couple of the berries that were on the forest floor 2. You have a holly branch that has some berries on it. So I stamped it with red and just took the holly berries. So that's kind of what it's going to look like on the front of the pocket. And this piece here is also from the collage strips. It's just a piece of another square, and I just took a slice of it to add just a little something behind. And then I'm going to put on my glad tidings. It's usually one of the last thing that gets on is the sentiment, but and now I'm going to add my holly and berries. The berries, I told you we're done with that holly stamp, but I did that in lumberjack plaid. And then I just went around the edges of the berries with vintage photo to make them, and the insides of them, to make it look like they're aged. Okay, so now I'm ready to go on to what's going to go inside of the pocket. And I have this, I'm not sure which I'm going to show you first. Okay. So the background is going to be, I would say, the reverse of the pocket front, but it's really the same. It's like the negative is the same as the positive, so it's not like you're getting a different image. But so I added a little more ink to it, sprayed it down, and then I'm just putting that on top of the tag. And you never know what you're going to get. But I am perfectly good and fine with how it turned out. I like irregularity. And I'm just going around I started to go around the edge, but it was a little too wet. And I think my foot has moved my camera a little bit. Didn't even know that happened. Luckily, I'm still in frame. But I added some, oh, what is that called? Resist, I think it is. Oh, no, Distress Microglaze. I added some Distress Microglaze because that will keep that green in place for anything I want to add on to the top of it. And so I'm going to add some antique linen. Just because I just didn't want anything white. And then I'm going to give it some splatters. I think that was vintage photo. And I'm drying it up. And then I'll just stick it back in there just to get a little more layering of the color. And I'm going to add a little more. And dry it. So now I'm going to add some vintage photo to my edges. And I have some collage paper. This was Christmas 2024 collage paper. So I'm taking some collage medium and then putting that on the tag and then positioning the collage paper onto the tag. It's going to overlap, so it's not going to all fit, but that's okay. And there's places that maybe I didn't get enough collage medium or it dried too quickly. So I want to go back in and add a little more on some of the edges. And I try using my little sanding block, but I just can never really get it to work very well, so I just grab my scissors since these are all straight edges. I cut out the tag hole and trim it back. As well as I can anyways. And because the tag just was a little bit yellower with the antique linen, I'm adding some antique linen to the open areas on the front just to kind of, so they're a little more cohesive. And I'm adding some color to the Mr. Johnson paper doll, and I give him, I think that was crushed olive, and on his vest, and some brown, and I think it's ground espresso on his jacket, and I think on his shoes maybe. Add a little bit of pink to give him a little bit of a pink glow. And then there's just an open space, which now I'm off camera, but there was a little open space right underneath Johnson's, and I just stuck a stamp number 4899. That's from Eccentric. And I'm going to add a couple ribbons with antique linen and crushed olive. And I give those a dry. And it just kind of slips through there, and I tug on each end a little bit, not real hard, so that it's on there nice and firm, and you'll see it just slides right into the pocket. Now I think it needed a little more something, like there's hardly any red, and so I stamped the berries that are in Forest Floor 2, and I stamped them in lumberjack plaid and then added some vintage photo. I fussy cut them, which is not super easy, but I just do it when I'm sitting around watching TV. So I already had them there to pull from, and I want them to stick out of the pocket, but I don't want them to be attached to the tag. So I'm going to attach them to the inside of the envelope or pocket. Not sure if they call it a pocket or envelope. And so I just put some glue on the bottom pieces of it, stick it in there, and now I can slide my tag in and out without any worries of the berries coming out. And that's it. I really had fun with this one. I hope you enjoyed it too. If you have not subscribed, please do. And if you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Other than that, have a great day.